Let's catch up with Susie O'Brien from the Herald Sun in Melbourne and Stephen Senatiempo from 2CC in Canberra. Great to catch up. This is the first time we've officially met in the second triennium of the People's Socialist Republic of Albanese, so it's a momentous occasion. Susie, let's focus on the Libs. They're looking for a new leader. Susan Lay's been deputy. She's worked hard in that thankless role. Julie Bishop was deputy, including Deputy Prime Minister for a long period of time, never got to be leader. Unless Susan Lay gets the job, there's going to be all this commentary saying the Liberals are so bad with women that they can only, dare I use the analogy, they're always the bridesmaid, never the bride. What do you reckon?
Well, it's interesting because often women are brought in to clean up the mess created by males after disastrous elections. So either way, there's going to be commentary.
Yep.
But you know what? The Liberal Party at this point has three major problems. Their vote with women, their vote with minorities, and their vote with young people. And if they've got a female who is wanting to stand up and take the leadership to show everyone that they are going to do things differently and put a woman in control, then... And if in fact they don't do that, and if they go with the pale male, there's two other pale males who are putting their hands up, then it would just be a case of nothing has changed. They haven't listened at all. That'll be more than 2 election cycles in the wilderness. They have to put Susan Lee in that position.
We are all pale on this panel, and I identify as male. But they could save some money if they gave the job
Italian, does that count?
They could save some money, Stephen, if they give the job to Susan Ley, because she's got a commercial pilot's licence. She could fly herself around the country.
Look, Chris, the thing that I'm sick of is people that are never going to vote Liberal as long as their backside points to the ground, telling the Liberal Party what they need to do. Susan Lee is the worst option of the 3 people that have been mentioned. That's the reality of this. The other reality is that who the leader is at the moment doesn't really matter. The Liberal Party's got bigger problems than this. And I'm sick of hearing this stuff about they've got a problem with women voters. They've got a problem with all voters. All voters turned against the Liberal Party on Saturday. That's the reality of this. But what they need to do is get back to the fundamentals of building a Liberal Party, and that is they need people who know how to do campaigning. They've lost that. The current campaign team is absolutely useless. They need some policy wonks who know how to write policy. They don't have those. They're the 2 priorities they need to do. And then they need to address the state-based nature of the Liberal Party, which is tearing it apart. It needs to become a federal system or a national system like the Labor Party does, so that somebody's in charge and they can have some direction. But the reality is that up until...
It is a federal system. It is a federal system. You're saying it should be more like a national organisation. Look,
absolutely.
They need advocacy.
I'll just go back to what I was saying.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that, if you look at the reality is, up until November, December last year, the Liberal Party was riding high. It was just they decided not to run a campaign come January.
Yeah. Well, politics is not about just campaigning. You've got to run the arguments all the way through, and people often only focus in the campaign, so you've got to lay all that groundwork. One of the things that intrigues me, speaking about women in politics, Susie, is of course the Teals are big on this. They're all women and they all talk about women and they all target the Liberals because apparently the Liberals hate women, and that's why so many women, no doubt, around the country were pleased to see Zoe Daniel saying this on Saturday night.
It's been a hard campaign, team. Yeah! But in Goldstein, hope wins. The Liberal Party threw everything at us, guys. Everything. And we are standing here to celebrate.
Well, another thing that Zoe got wrong, because it wasn't Hope that won, Susie, it was a bloke. So obviously the Teal voters don't like women either.
Well, and you know what? Monique Ryan did exactly the same thing. She was standing out there on stage, kind of like George W. Bush with the mission, mission achieved, mission accomplished, I think it was. And
yeah.
She had the thing saying, we've got this, Kooyong. No, she is now fighting for her seat. She's a few hundred votes ahead. You can say that, the Liberals did a lot of women in those seats did overwhelmingly go to support the Teals. But you just have to look at some of the bigger picture stats about women. 60 women were elected at this election so far. 47 of them were from the Labor Party. I mean, the Liberal Party has not just a problem with women voters, but with women pre-selecting women to winnable seats.
Well, they had a great female candidate, and certainly there are other examples, but there was a fantastic female candidate in Boothby, and ALP voters chose not to elect her. So you can't do much about it, but I agree with you, it's an issue, and we'll see how they deal with it as we move on. I'd love to get a drone shot of Monique Ryan's backyard to see if there's a big kennel in the backyard and whether her husband is living in it at the moment, because I'm pretty certain he would. She'll be blaming him for her loss. It'll be a bloke who lost her Kooyong. We'll see. I want to go to this issue, Stephen, what we're talking about, advocacy and campaigning and whatever, and what I said at the top of the program, and that is you've got to stick with policies that are right and argue them, not just be dictated to by superficial analysis of polls. And that was highlighted by this exchange about the nuclear debate on Q&A last night.
There was no swing to Labor in the towns that were actually going to be in receipt of one of these facilities.
So why didn't you visit?
That you don't want to hear.
No. It's I've got the numbers. I don't need your opinion.
All right, this guy's...
Yeah, Stephen, Rebecca Huntley says, I don't need your facts and arguments and opinion based on all that. I've got my opinion polling numbers. Go away. Yeah,
well, I mean, we know how well the opinion polling went, didn't we? And it's been failing lately too. So, you know, look, the reality is that it's not only about defending your policies, and that is something the Liberal Party failed at, no two ways about that, but you've also got to attack the lies and the narratives that are being placed against you, and that was something that they were reluctant to do. So when Anthony Albanese kept coming out and saying, you know, Peter Dutton tried to destroy bulk billing altogether by bringing in an $8 co-payment, somebody should have called him out and said, Prime Minister, do you even know how bulk billing actually works? And your co-payment's $40 or $50. So who would have been better off? You know, these are the kind of things that they failed to do. They failed to call out the lies, but they also failed to enunciate their policies and defend them properly. And I just want to go back to the women thing for a moment. Jamie Rogers, Ro Knox, Amelia Hamer, all really good blokes.
Fair enough. Hey, speaking about blokes and macho, I want to show you a little bit of another Miles, Richard Miles' son, Sam Miles. He was also in a contest on Saturday night. It wasn't an election. If you're a bit squeamish, you might not want to watch this. Have a look. Yeah, Susie, apparently the Deputy Prime Minister was watching that while he was also watching Tom Connell's count here on Sky News. Maybe that's some of the mongrel that the coalition needed.
Hear, hear.
I'm glad my son... Well, I've been stressing about my sons playing football, but that just makes me glad that they're playing nice, safe AFL compared to that.
Great stuff. Thanks for joining us, Susie and Stephen.